Hey guys, this is Camper 15 back, joined by my Uncle Daryl on Camper 15 Talk Sports, and we are here to give our NFL Week 2 predictions. Now, before this, because originally this video was supposed to go up before the Thursday night game, but events happened where we couldn't do that. But we actually did our predictions off screen, but my uncle took the Chiefs, I took the Chargers. So right now, he's up 1-0. So a quick overview of that game I just want to give my thoughts on. The Chargers really had that game and they should have came out and won that game, but I chalk this Chargers lost up to the fact that you had the Chargers on like one or two drives. They had Patrick Mahomes interceptions right then and there for the picking, and they ended up dropping one. I wasn't really a pick. It was just a pass interference. But if the DB doesn't interact with the receiver, that could end up being an interception. Asante Samuel Jr., he had nearly picked off Mahomes two times. One where he bobbled it and it had to be replayed. And it's kind of controversial. Some people say he did catch it and maintain possession of the ball. Some others said no, the ball hit the ground. It's one of those calls where it's kind of hard to, I guess, see. So I don't know why they just didn't keep an interception. I don't know. That's weird. And then on the goal line, he had a pick. He read the route. It was like a simple hitch route the receiver was running. He had it, and then he didn't hold on to it. And typically, when it comes to these really good quarterbacks in the NFL, if you don't take the opportunities to make them cause turnovers, that can sometimes end up backstabbing you in the back. Um, we as Bear fans, we know because the first game in 2018, Kyle Fuller had a pick on Aaron Rodgers, but he ended up dropping it, which it ended up losing us the game that game. Um, so then the game ends up getting tied at 24 apiece. No, 17 apiece. 17 apiece.
17.
So after an unsportsmanlike conduct off a kickoff, a really stupid one by the Chiefs player on a Chargers player, Justin Herbert leads the team all the way down to the red zone, and he throws a very bad interception that goes for pretty much pick six. Um, and it was pretty much the thing of the Chargers having to find a way to get down the field to score. They really didn't do that. The Chiefs got the ball back, and they pretty much off a very big Clyde, um, um, Alaire, Edwards Alaire run. It pretty much sealed the deal. They kicked the field goal, they won the game. Now the thing about that interception, Everett, the tight end, he was signaling he needs to, he wanted to go out. He was tired. But I'm guessing nobody on the staff picked that up. They were trying to run hurry up. So he was kind of lazy in his route. You could tell like he wasn't going full speed. And because Justin Herbert thought he was coming inside, but he went outside. And it was a rush throw, and pretty much that lost them the game, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, after the pick six for 99 yards, I think at that particular moment the Chargers for the mentally they were out of it. Now the Everett tapping on the head, was that during the play or before
It
the
was
play?
after that one play he got them into the goal line
Okay, all
off
right.
that long
Because
catch and run.
I was about to say typically on the line of scrimmage,
Yeah.
as you're, when you do this, he's pretty much acknowledging a hot route.
Yeah, they
So
were, but
I
they
just
were,
wanted to
yeah,
make it
they were going
right. It
hurry
was
up.
before,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I mean, those kind of things do happen. But if he had known they were going hurry up, he should have just ran to the sideline.
Yeah.
That would have been the thing to do. Just run to the sideline and let his replacement be ready and able to fill in. So I pretty much call all of that on Everett. If he was so tired, he should have just ran straight to the sideline, and instead of just coming to the line of scrimmage or just waiting for someone to acknowledge him, and then when he doesn't get the acknowledgement, or maybe that's how the Chargers do it. But be that as it may, that interception was just the end of the game at that particular moment. they were just mentally drained at that point. Again, it's probably something that Bear shouldn't have thrown. If anything, it was also another one of them plays where, as hell, he could have just ran it in, you know.
I think he
So
didn't really let the play develop. He snapped
he
it and then
really
he just
did.
threw it.
Yeah, he really didn't. He I guess based on how the Chiefs were set up, I guess he felt all Everett had to do was turn around to his left or his right. I think Everett went to his left,
He went to the right. He went to the
and
right.
he went to his right.
Yes. He went to
Right.
his
Okay.
right.
He
Herbert
went
was
to
throwing
his
in
right.
left.
Everett, yeah, and then he threw it left. And I mean, at that particular moment, what was the guy supposed to do? Just nail it? No, man. 99 yards, and so it's a learning thing for the Chargers. It's a learning thing for Bear. Luckily for them, it's the second game of the year.
Yeah.
They can recover from it. So I really don't really sense, you know, too much backlash from this game. They might be able to get a little bit in LA, but at least they do know that they can hold their own with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So the Clyde Edwards-Helaire run was a big run to pretty much seal the deal. But to me, at that particular moment, from the Chargers standpoint, based on what I saw, man, they were done.
Yeah. Got on the Chiefs to battle back because they looked like they were dead in the water.
Yeah,
Again, like I said, defensively against these elite quarterbacks, if whatever turnovers you can force them to get, you got to get those turnovers. Because I think
correct.
the game absolutely changes, especially if Asante Samuel holds on to that one interception, pretty much where it was pretty much at midfield, because then they could have set it up for the
Right,
Chargers just to go up by 2 scores and pretty much put the game away. Um,
right.
Now Justin Herbert late in the game, he got hit, and he got hurt, and apparently they're saying it's like a rib injury. He might, I think, cracked one of his ribs or hurt his ribs. Where I think,
It was kind of funny because the report I saw said he fractured his rib cartilage.
yeah, interesting.
Now I gotta admit, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not in the medical field, and I didn't think you could fracture cartilage. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, or maybe I just didn't understand the terminology. But I don't think he'll miss any time. They'll probably just wind up putting a flak jacket on him for the remaining games, unless it's something that's gonna deter him a little bit more long term.
Yeah,
But I can't see this impeding any kind of progress moving forward
yeah,
for the Chargers. So I mean, I don't think anything is going. I
yeah.
think he'll wind up playing.
Maybe he misses a week or two, but we'll see. But I don't
Maybe,
think.
but it's going to be a long week for them. I mean, their next game is not obviously not this Sunday. It's next Sunday, so he'll have a full 10 days to try to recover. And so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't but Chiefs won.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a nice little hold on the division early on, but I will say early on, the Chargers defense looked really nice.
Yeah.
Looked really nice. So they got something there in LA.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on to our predictions for the other Sunday game. So the first Sunday game, starting off, is the New York Jets versus the Browns. The Jets, from their week 1 performance, didn't give me any confidence. Maybe if Zach Wilson was there, maybe I'd give them a puncher's chance, but still, whatever. I'm not. No, it should be a blowout. We're both going Browns here.
Oh, you automatically know I'm going Browns. Yeah, there's nothing out. I gotta admit, with that pass rush they got, really all they gotta do is just stop the run, and they should be able to just dig their heels in and get after the quarterback. Yeah, I like the Browns too.
Yeah. The next game is the Commanders at Detroit. Um, Honestly, I'm probably going to go Washington again this week. Even though the Lions showed some heart and some grit last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, I think I'm still going Washington. I think Washington's a slightly better team.
On the road, huh?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I really like the way Detroit put up points against the Eagles. And at home, yeah, I got him in. I'm gonna go with Detroit on this one.
Okay.
I like Detroit. I'm not crazy about either quarterback, but yeah, I got him in. I think I'm gonna go with the home team. I'll go with Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. Next game, this is going to be one of the main featured games that I'm looking forward to next week, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. So obviously the big storyline is, will Tom Brady get a regular season win against the Saints, because he only has one against the Saints in the playoffs. And the Saints typically have had his number. Now, personally, with what I saw on Sunday Night Football last week for the Buccaneers, I feel like they could have blown out the Cowboys fairly easily, but it was kind of like they just were kicking field goals that entire game, even though they had them. But as for the Saints, even though they were losing big against the Falcons, they hit that adversity wall and pretty much they came back all and they dropped like almost 27 points. So I'm just gonna go with the Saints because they typically have done really good against Tampa Bay, and plus they're at home. And we know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is kind of like meddled with injuries. So I think that D line for the Saints is going to get there. And also Chris Godwin's out too. So Tom Brady Law has a weapon that is gone. So I'm going with the Saints on this one.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I think Brady is the GOAT, and historically he has not done very well in New Orleans. Um, I'm gonna have to agree with you. The Saints really looked good in that second half against the Falcons, and Tampa Bay pretty much sputtered throughout the entire game against Dallas. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you, and I'll go with the Saints.
Yeah, and we saw like in that entire second half when Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave, they start going off. Well, then
Yep.
that looks like a problem offense to deal with.
And the thing about it, Jameis Winston was fine to them too.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, when the field got really short, he started looking for his number one guy, man, and Michael Thomas, and he found him for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got him in. I like the Saints, but mostly because I think the Saints are more healthy than the Buccaneers. Not necessarily because they're a better team. I just think that they're just more healthy.
Yeah. Next game is going to be the Carolina Panthers going up against the New York Giants. I feel like this is a tough game to choose. For me, I'm going to go with the Giants again. It was the thing where they had adversity hit them, and I just feel like this team believes a lot, especially offensively, in Brian Daboll. I think Saquon Barkley, who had a great game against the Tennessee Titans, who looked like what we thought what's his name? From the running back for the Titans. Crap, I forgot his name.
Linebacker for the Titans?
No, the running back.
For the Titans, Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry. I thought, we thought Derrick Henry would look like Derrick Henry, but Saquon Barkley, he freaking took it to the next level. So I think as long as Daniel Jones, because he didn't really do much in it, as long as he just sets the Giants up to win and he doesn't force any, stupid turnovers, I think the Giants can win this game at home. The Panthers really didn't show me a lot. They pretty much struggled for 3 quarters, and then they just started turning it on in the 4th quarter because Cleveland got all lackadaisical.
I like the Giants in this game too, but more so because I just don't like the Panthers. I just don't like the Panthers. I don't think that, but the Giants, what I like most about the Giants is Barkley seems healthy, and Barkley is playing angry. And, a guy with his talent, his size, and his ability, you add anger into the mix, then yeah, I think you got a really good combination for a running back. So I'll go with the Giants as well too. Just hopeful that Daniel Jones just don't screw it up.
Yeah. All right. The next game is the New England Patriots versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another game I'll be watching this upcoming Sunday. This is another tough one to go. But I'm going to I talked to my boy Matt yesterday late at night, and if he's watching this video, I'm gonna go with your Patriots. This one, I think the Patriots rebound after their very bad loss to the Dolphins. The reasoning behind that is one, TJ Watt's out for like 6 weeks now. So that whole added pressure, and we know the New England offensive line struggled a bit in that game against Miami. But with TJ Watt, I think there still will be some pressures, but not as crazy as pressures as it maybe would have been. And then two, that Pittsburgh offense really didn't do anything. Like they got 5 takeaways. The defense gave them 5 takeaways, and they really didn't blow out the Bengals like they should have. It's like they had, they only like I think scored 14 points or something like that.
Yeah,
But other than that, they were kicking field goals. And I think if the Patriots offense can get it together, they can, I think they can score more points than the Pittsburgh's offense. I also think the defense will probably have a better performance um, compared to this week, which looks like I guess more milder temperatures um, compared to Miami, where it's just hot.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm going New
I,
England.
uh, all right. I'm going Steelers,
Okay.
regardless of TJ Watt. I like the Steelers wide receivers. I don't like New England's wide receivers. I think Mac Jones is going to have a difficult time trying to air the ball out to this cast of characters in the wide receiver room. Whereas if Mitch Trubisky um, is put in a position to pass, his weapons are a little bit greater than what's on the other side of the football field. And defensively, man, Pittsburgh is really nice defensively. For me, the New England Patriots are really going to have to muck this game up, turn into something of a, slow down, keep the defense on the field for long periods of time, and try to wear them down into the fourth quarter. I just don't think Mac Jones is going to have a really good time throwing the ball on this secondary with this wide receiver group. So, regardless of TJ Watt being or not being there, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay. Okay.
And plus, I think Tomlin really likes to beat Belichick. I
Yeah.
think there's going to be a little added something there too. So I'll go with Pittsburgh over New England.
Okay. The next game is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So one team of the AFC South is gonna have a W by this, unless there's another tie, I guess. Um, Jacksonville, they showed me a lot last
They look
Sunday.
good, didn't they?
Even though they lost the game and Trevor Lawrence, threw a really bad pick at the end of that game, I really did like what Jacksonville gave me. Didn't really like what the Colts did last Sunday when you should fairly handily, at least maybe by 2 scores, beat a Texans team that, well, they call the Bears being the worst team in the NFL, but the Texans are one of the worst teams in the NFL. But they ended up tying with them, and more importantly, they ended up trailing and they had to come back. Now I'm gonna go with Jacksonville. One, last year. Now I know Carson Wentz was on the team last year, but the Colts lost in Jacksonville last year. And then two, I just checked Adam Schefter. Michael Pittman for the Colts is going to be out. So I think that's a big blow to the passing offense for the Colts. Now I know they still have Matt Ryan and they still have Jonathan Taylor. I think if the Jaguars can, make the Colts one-dimensional, whether it's just in the passing or preferably they got to stop the run. I think the Jaguars should win this game. They put enough points on the board last week to say, okay, they can actually do something to this Colts defense. That looks like maybe losing Matt Eberflus is actually hurting them a lot more than we thought. So I'm going with Jacksonville.
Okay, I agree with everything that you said. Jacksonville last week, they pretty much wore themselves out just trying to come back. They were down 2 touchdowns. Or were they up? No, I think they were up.
They
No,
were
that's
up,
right.
and then they lost the lead
They were
late.
up, and then they lost the lead. So They, man, I gotta admit, I really want to take Jacksonville here,
Mhm.
but well, let me ask this: who's the home team?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. I really want to take Jacksonville. Um, you know what? I tell you what, I really like Jacksonville. One of the big things that I think we talked about in our preview video of the season is, you know what? What kind of effect is Doug Peterson going to have on Trevor Lawrence? So we kind of got a glimpse of that last week. And Indianapolis, I mean, they threw the ball over 50 times last week, and they still only put up what 20 points.
Hmm.
So, and Jonathan Taylor had a beast of a game too, and he still only put up what 20 points. So, I to me, that just I didn't like that. So I'll agree with you and go with Jacksonville as well too. They just seem to have a little bit more balance as it relates to offense and defense.
Okay. So you're going.
I'm going Jacksonville.
Okay. Jacksonville. All right. Next game. Oh, shit. This is another tough one. Miami versus Baltimore. Um,
Mm. Ooh,
yeah.
who's the home team?
Baltimore. You want to give your analysis first?
Both teams dominated. Uh, I would say that Lamar Lamar Jackson dominated more than Tua Tagovailoa did against the Patriots. Um, I'm gonna go Baltimore because I like their defense just a little better against Tua's arm. I think Tua has to be able to push the ball down the field. I just don't know if he can actually do that against this defense on this field. So I'll go with I'll go with Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
specifically because I just like Lamar Jackson this year in a contract year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the same thing. I think it will be a close game. But I just feel like Baltimore's defense is slightly better. Plus, they're playing at home. And I think just that running game is just gonna give Miami some fits. Now they'll obviously have to pay attention to guys like a Tyreek Hill and then Jalen Waddle. But I think Baltimore should win at least by maybe a touchdown or a touchdown and a field goal.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just don't. In order for Miami to win, for me, they got to push the ball down the field with the speed they have on the ends of wide receiver. I just don't know if Tua can make that 50 to 60-yard deep ball
Mm-hmm.
that the speed that he has on the ends require.
Yeah.
So I can see them pushing up on the wide receivers just to make them go deep, just to see if Tua can make that long pass. But don't think they'll be able to do it on Baltimore's turf. I'll go with Baltimore.
Yeah. Next game is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Los Angeles Rams. We're going Rams here.
Yeah, we're going Rams. The Rams was utterly embarrassed on national television, and I think the Falcons are going to pay for that.
Yeah. I think the defense is gonna be significantly better. You would hope that Matthew Stafford not only throws to Cooper Cup, but throws to the vast other receivers, they have in their arsenal. But I think this is a
I'm
game that we'll
talking
get
more defense. I'm
yeah,
talking more defense. Honestly, Buffalo should have put up 50
yeah,
on the Rams. I mean, they could have easily been up 3 touchdowns in the first half, but it was a 10-10 tie. And at one point during the game, Buffalo should have put up 50. And they should have put it up easily. I think when Buffalo realized we gotta stop playing around with these guys is when they put it in another gear that the Rams just didn't expect.
yeah. Yeah. The Rams should win. This is a bounce back game,
Yep.
going for week 3 for them to get
Yep.
back on pace, I guess lessen any concerns that maybe anybody has about them. So they should be good.
They're
So
healthy. They're healthy. but they should be really ticked off coming into this week. And I honestly think they're gonna make the Falcons pay for what Buffalo did to them.
Yeah. So next game is the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. I thought the Seattle Seahawks surprisingly had a very good game against the Broncos, which we all thought it would be a blowout game. But no, they actually did fairly good. Geno Smith, he didn't put the ball at harm. He didn't turn the ball over. He had a really good performance against what looked like to be a really good defense in the Denver Broncos going to the season. And their defense still is good. It just caught people by surprise that they did that. And then the San Francisco 49ers, they pretty much, for a team that dominated the Chicago Bears last week in the albeit in the rain.
First half though.
Yeah. They
First
fell
half.
asleep, they became undisciplined, and they pretty much gave that game away to a team that they should have beaten. Obviously, Trey Lance, he's still on this whole thing of developmental learning as he's playing. So this is gonna be a tough one. I want to take Seattle. I really do. I was really impressed with what I saw from them, but I just feel like this will be a game for the 49ers to come back at home and rebound from their loss and get back on track. So I'm going to go with the 49ers.
I'm going Niners. The Broncos fumbled twice on the 1 yard line. So, I mean, regardless of what Seattle did or didn't do, or what Geno Smith didn't turn the ball over, what have you fumble twice on the 1 yard line, then yeah, you deserve to lose. That game was more about what the Broncos didn't do as opposed to what Seattle did. I don't think that's going to happen in San Francisco. I honestly expect the Niners to really just dominate the Seattle Seahawks this week and beat and probably beat them by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah. Next game is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going Cincinnati. Now, mind you, we'll see how this Cincinnati offensive line holds up to this Dallas pass rush with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. I feel like if the same thing is going to happen where offensive line's just getting blown up, Joe Burrow's taking almost 5+ sacks, then this game could be a little bit closer. But I'm going to go with Cincinnati winning by 2 scores. It should be a fairly easy victory for them. They should struggle a bit, but fairly easy. Dallas, they got the backup quarterback in Cooper Rush playing, so obviously they're going to be very reliant on Ezekiel Elliott to run, and Ezekiel Elliott hasn't looked like himself since his first year in the league. And then really, even though Cooper Rush, he's got some wins at the NFL level against other competent teams when he was in the Cowboys. Like last year, he played the Vikings in Minnesota and he got out there with a W. I just don't think, they'll do enough. And plus, I don't think their weapons are enough. All they got is CeeDee Lamb. And yeah, I think you already had some Cowboys great. I think it was Michael Irvin saying he got to be better if, you're going to be the number one dude. I just don't think Dallas has enough weapons to have their offense stay in the game. It's probably going to be the same type of score where they're barely scoring points and barely moving the ball down the field. So I'm going with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cincinnati as well too. I'm not crazy about that offensive line of Dallas. I'm not crazy about their running backs. Not really crazy about I'm not crazy about that offense altogether. The defense, on the other hand, can do some things, but that offense altogether, to me, is just I don't want to say it, but from what I see, I just can't imagine them scoring 20 points with this roster currently constructed coming into week 2. The Cincinnati Bengals, for me, week 1, to me, I think they kind of didn't really see Pittsburgh as a threat, and Pittsburgh beat them. So, I think they were reading their own press clippings and thought that Pittsburgh was just going to lay down for them, considering they were at home. And it was their first game, and they're the AFC champion, and all of these different things, and the fans are just, eating them up and telling them how great they are. And, you had Joe Burrow being lauded as an MVP candidate by Kurt Warner on the NFL Network. So all of these things go into the fact of them coming in a little bit cocky the first game, and then they lost. I just don't see that happening this week. Cincinnati Bengals go 0-2 this week is going to really put them in a deep little hole, especially if Pittsburgh wins.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to win. They got to be able to win to keep track with Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, who all won last week. So they're the only one in that division that hadn't won the game. They got to win to keep up. I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah. Matchup to watch, Ja'Marr Chase versus Trayvon Diggs. So
it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty nice. We'll see where it goes. But at the same time, though, Cincinnati has more than just Ja'Marr Chase in that wide receiver room. So T. Higgins and Taj Boyd, I think they're going to be really good, especially against this secondary. But this defense is good.
Yep.
Dallas's defense is good. So they should do enough to keep it close, provided that, I think Joe Mixon is going to be the key. If they can actually get some yards on the ground and wear this defense out in the fourth quarter, then Burrow should be able to hit Ja'Marr Chase or even T. Higgins over the top for a couple.
Yep. Next game, the Houston Texans versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think they're going to have a rebound game. I don't think they're going to make as many mistakes as they made in the last game. Even though the Texans, they did look very impressive against the team and the Colts that should make the playoffs this year. I just think Broncos will come back, especially at home, with that altitude, ready to go and everything, and stuff like that. So I'm going with Denver.
I'll go with Denver as well too, but the Texans do intrigue me a little bit with how they play, even though they came to a tie. And, it could have been more about the Indianapolis Colts than the Texans, but I'm really not crazy about how the Broncos performed last week. I'm just to me that kind of play can really make or break your season, even though it was game one. 2 fumbles on the 1-yard line. I can't fathom that. So that's a huge thing to try to overcome. So, but I am going to pick the Broncos because their quarterback is probably between the two offenses. Russell Wilson is probably the best player on the field.
Yeah. Next game that will end up the afternoon games for Sunday is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Raiders. I think if Derek Carr does not make any interception, well, if he at least throws one, if he's throwing like almost 3-4 interceptions, then they'll lose this game. But I'm going with the Raiders just from the fact that even though they lost, they were still competitive in that game against the Chargers, and they were almost going to win that game if not for those 3 turnovers. And I think Derek Carr, he doesn't need to look too much towards Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams will have another monster game. There's really nobody on that Arizona Cardinals offense that can stop Davante Adams. If he spreads the wealth amongst Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller alongside Davante Adams, this should be a fairly easy game for the Raiders to win. I got them winning at home. And plus the Cardinals, they did not look impressive. They did not look impressive at all.
I like the Raiders too. Derek Carr is not a turnover machine. I don't expect him to be one in this particular game. I do expect because, the Cardinals defense, when you compare it to what the Raiders played last week, is so below what the Chargers are. I can honestly see Derek Carr having close to a career game here. So I will go with the Raiders. I do think Josh Jacobs will have a really good bounce back game. I don't think his last week he didn't have a great game. So and then on top of it, was so one dimensional by him just half of his passes going to one guy. So I think Derek Carr will probably spread the wealth a little bit. But at the same time, I can honestly see Derek Carr having a career game against this defense. Yeah. I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah. I do believe if the Cardinals want a chance to win this game, the defense got to be a lot better.
And they don't have J.J. Watt. So.
Yeah. And Kyler Murray has a better game as well himself, too.
Correct. But at the same time, what's Kyler Murray got for a wide receiver core? I mean, I mean, no
Got Marquise
DeAndre Hopkins.
Brown, AJ Green. I don't know. Is Hopkins playing?
No, Hopkins is not playing, and obviously, they lost Fitzgerald. They lost Christian Kirk. So I mean, it's basically Marquise Brown, who for the most part has never been a solid possession receiver. He's just been a guy that you can just go over the top with. So when the two offenses, yeah, I like the Raiders better. I mean, I really do. Raiders.
Sunday night primetime game is our Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers. We will be doing a game recap after the game's over. But the Bears, they surprised a lot of people just from the fact that they beat a very, good, or it's supposed to be good, San Francisco 49ers.
Well, they beat a team who everyone was saying, even during the broadcast, this team is Super Bowl caliber. This team is going ready. It's Super Bowl ready. This team has a Super Bowl feel to them. Those are the kind of things that Daryl Johnston was throwing out during the broadcast. So they got beat. And I forget about the rain, just like we said before. Both teams played in the rain, but the way the 49ers play, the rain was right up their wheelhouse. So, and they still lost.
Yep. Obviously the things from last year, the whole Aaron Rodgers, I own you comments. And mind you, I'm trying to be as non-biased as I possibly can. Now the Bears, in one half, their offense didn't really look good, but in the second half, their offense did look a lot better. I think the Bears' offensive performance should be slightly better, and I think they'll be at least, it should be good for all 4 quarters. But I think for me, I'm just being recent. I just don't think the Bears have enough to be able to hang in with the Packers. Now I know the Packers issues, and shifting over to the Packers. One, I think the Packers, they have slightly better running backs, and I think they're going to establish this running game against the Bears. It's up to what the Bears coverage units, the backfield for their DBs does against the wide receivers. Now, all the guys that were out, Elton Jenkins, Bakhtiari, I forgot somebody else that was key for them, who was hurt. They're all questionable going into this game, which pretty much tells
you
me
might
that.
be talking about Allen Lazard.
Alan Lazard.
He was out last week with an ankle injury. I'm not necessarily sure. I didn't read the injury report to see how far he's gotten along. But for me, if the 49ers would have had Aaron Rodgers, they would have beat the Bears. It was just that simple. So I don't really – the Bears, they really – defensively, I think they can do certain things to limit the Packers' offense. The wide receiver room is not a great wide receiver room. There's a bunch of 2s and 3s, not a number 1. So Rodgers really can't key on one guy. He pretty much has to go to the open guy. So the Bears just make sure that their coverages are strong. But but Dillon and Jones, man, it's gonna be a tough matchup for them. So I hate to go against the Bears, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Packers because they are at home, and it is a nationally televised game. And a lot of these young cats that we have on the Bears, I don't know if they're ready for a nationally televised game of this nature just yet. Or who knows? They may be so dumbfounded that they just don't realize the impact. Be that as it may, I do, as much as I hate it, I'm going to go with the Packers, primarily because of the Packers' defense against our offense.
Yeah. I think Justin Fields will play a good game. We'll see how he does. Hopefully he doesn't turn over the ball. But yeah, I'm going with the Packers as well. I think they'll win probably about 2 scores. It'll be competitive. I think it'll be competitive for a bit.
I'm not going to say 2 scores. I'm not going to say 2 scores because the Packers have offensive woes just like we do. I just think the Packers defensively is maybe just a little bit more suited to win this game than the.
Yeah, we ran out of time for Zoom. But if you want to continue your thoughts you were saying before you got cut off.
Basically what I was saying was I just can't fathom any scenario because Rodgers just don't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
So I just can't fathom any scenario where the Bears offense puts together enough points on the Packers defense to win this game. I just can't fathom it. I mean, I just don't think like last week, 19 points. I don't think 19 points is good enough against Aaron Rodgers. I think we're going to have to put somewhere up around, 24 to 28 points and have to do that in Green Bay with a second year quarterback and this offense. On this defense, the Bears defense would have to play lights out to win this game. And against Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. And if you did watch that Bears game, and the Bears didn't miss 2 extra points. And they didn't get called for that one penalty, wiping the field. They would have had about, I think, 24 points at least.
Well, I still chalk that up to the weather. I mean, that weather was really bad. I mean, but I like Kyrie Santos. If the game comes down to Kyrie Santos, then we got to keep Green Bay out the end zone.
Yeah.
I don't want them to just be putting up sevens while we putting up threes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think Justin Fields has to be very protective of the ball. No fumbles, no interceptions, so that gives extra.
You can't turn the ball over against Aaron Rodgers. Just that simple. I mean, I think he only had 4 interceptions last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the guy just doesn't. If there's one thing we can say about Aaron Rodgers is that he does protect the football. He will not turn it over. He'll take a sack. He'll throw the ball out of bounds, but he will not. He won't beat you. You won't win the game by him making mistakes, I should say. So, and we have to be the same way.
Yep. All right. Now we're focusing on to the Monday night games. There'll be 2 Monday night games this week. Don't know why there wasn't 2 last week. Typically, that's what they do with the opening week of NFL. But all right, we get 2 games this week. The first game is the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going Buffalo Bills. 1, they're at home, and then 2, I feel like they just have a lot more firepower than whatever that Tennessee defense can do. I think the Tennessee defense, will be close early on, maybe around the halftime, and then after halftime, I think that's when the Buffalo Bills will just lay it on them. Offensively for Tennessee, other than Derrick Henry, I don't think they have enough. And then plus you got Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. Sooner or later, Malik Willis will take the helm.
For me, in order for Tennessee to win this game, they have to win time of possession, 35 plus minutes. If they don't get 35 plus minutes against the Buffalo Bills will put up 50. I mean, the Bills were just that impressive. The only thing that kept them from, hitting that number was turnovers. So if Tennessee can keep them off the field and get a turnover or 2, they'll have a shot to win this game. But other than that, if they don't, Buffalo don't turn the ball over, and Tennessee does, considerably less than 35 minutes TOP, man, Buffalo is going to score some points, and they will score quickly too. So, Buffalo is at home.
Yes.
And I got to admit, that crowd, yeah, Buffalo, man. I mean, I'd go as far as to say Buffalo wins this one by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's my thoughts. Also update for the Bills, Gabe Davis, the wide receiver, he's questionable for Monday because he has an ankle injury.
But they're gonna slide in McKenzie in his spot. So I mean, one thing I can tell you about Buffalo, especially talking with another colleague of mine who's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, they are deep just about everywhere but quarterback. Golly, Jim, they'll plug somebody up in there, and I think in this particular case it'll probably be McKenzie, who's actually really good as well at the wideout as well as a kick returner.
Yep. And then the last game of week 2 on Monday Night Football is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia. I almost said Phillies, the Eagles. I'm going to go with Minnesota. They really impressed me with what they showed there. I think Justin Jefferson, he's obviously going to go off like usual because I don't see anybody on that Philadelphia secondary that can at least slow him down. Um, you know, and plus, we mentioned this last week in our recap. The Philadelphia Eagles lost Barnett to an ACL injury, so that's going to hurt their pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how the Minnesota defense will look against what looks to be a very good offense. As long as Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over,
Turn the
um,
ball over. Yeah.
the game should be close. But if he's turning the ball over left and right, and then the Eagles are not moving the ball down the field, then this could be a potential like 2-3 score game. The Vikings win handily, but I'm going Minnesota.
Uh, okay, just to add some drama to the week, because for the most part we've been picking the same
Yeah.
teams. I'm gonna go with Philadelphia.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Philadelphia, and I honestly think that Jalen Hurts now has that balance offensively, whereas he can throw and run. Kirk Cousins just doesn't have that luxury. And I honestly think they can cover Adam Thielen one-on-one, but they really have to make sure they cover Justin Jefferson at all three levels of the field. So let's see. I really think that early in the year, I don't expect a lot of carries out of Dalvin Cook, but I really do like the way Philadelphia put up some points last week. So I'm gonna go Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's the thing so far.
Yep.
So
I'm gonna
far,
go Philadelphia.
my uncle
Yep.
Daryl, he's in the lead thanks to the Thursday night game, up 1-0.
Yeah, you already got a week. You got a week on me.
Yeah,
You get so far from the entire season goes. You're up 1-0.
yeah.
So I just think that
That
I can get you this week.
victory could get you the W if we have all the predictions
Could
right.
be, could be, yeah, could be, could
Yeah.
be. But that could have went either way, though. I
Yeah.
mean, legitimately, the Chargers should have won that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that that pick six put a bad taste in the rest of the Chargers' mouths.
Yeah.
And mentally, they just wasn't in it to recover.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see.
Yep.
But
is it gonna be interesting? It'll be interesting.
it is gonna be interesting. A lot of things that I've been looking for week 2. How Tom Brady comes into New Orleans. Obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's going to be a constant thing for me to see how Trevor Lawrence plays. The Bears and their offense. I think the defense is nice, but let's see how if the offense can get 20 points. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Dallas without Dak Prescott for the foreseeable future. Pittsburgh without T.J. Watt. So we got it's some pretty nice storylines coming in week 2 for all these particular teams, though. So we'll see how it goes and let the games begin.
Yep. Hopefully, week 2 is just as interesting as week 1 was. But we'll see. We'll see. I know this.
No ties, though. No ties.
Yeah.
Please, no ties. That just have to watch a really great game and not see a winner. Oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah. I know because today's Saturday. Morning college football was absolutely boring. So I need something in my morning to wake up to for NFL. That's good. But anyways,
that's right.
But anyways,
that's right.
This
wake up to me winning this week.
Anyways, guys, we'll get out of here. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on our predictions and what are your predictions for this week, as well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more Cam for 15 Talk Sports content. Again, like I said, we'll probably after the Monday night games, probably on that Thursday or Wednesday, we'll give our recap of the entire week 2. After Sunday night, we're good for Sunday night. Just to double check.
Yeah, man. I can't wait.
Yep. So if you're a Bears fan or if you want to get our thoughts on the Bears in depth, Check out our game recap after Sunday Night Football tomorrow. Where whether the Bears, if they somehow pull off the upset, or the Packers typically beat them like they usually do. We'll give our thoughts, see how the team did. So yeah. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, peace.